Now let's formally define one-sided limits. Now we have two types of one-sided limits. We have the limit from the left, or the limit as x approaches a from the left of f of x, and we also have the right-hand limit, or the limit of f of x as x approaches a from the right. So left-hand limits are defined as follows. If we have f of x, a function defined at all values in an open interval CA. So let's look at the open interval. So this is the open interval. You have the left endpoint at C and the right endpoint at A. So all points in between C and A are points in the interval. Now, suppose this is the graph of our function. We can see that the function is defined at all points in the interval. Now, let L be a real number. Let us locate L on the y-axis. If the values of f of x approach the real number L, what does that mean? When the y values of the function approach L, the values of x approach the number A, meaning as the values of x moves from C to A, these are the values that are less than A. Then we say that L is the limit of f of x as x approaches A from the left. Now let's illustrate this by moving points on the graph. So let's start with this point. This is a point at the left of A. Now let's try to move points to the right going to A. As we can see, that as x approaches A from the left of A, or from values that are less than A, what happened to the points on the graph? The points on the graph move closer and closer to point AL, or the y values, or the f of x, also move closer to L. If this is so, then we say that the limit of f of x as x approaches A from the left is equal to L. On the other hand, the right-hand limit is defined as follows. Let f of x be a function defined at all values in an open interval AC. So suppose we have the graph of f of x. And suppose we have point A here and point C here. So if you noticed, on the interval, A is the left endpoint and C is the right endpoint. Now, let L be a real number. Let's locate L on the y-axis, and if the values of f of x approach the real number L, so there, as x approach the number A, as x approach the number A from values that are greater than A, so we say that as x approaches A from the right. So let's look at points on the graph. Let's start at a point that's farthest from the right of A and let them move towards A. Okay, so if you notice, the points on the graph are also moving towards point AL. Now, if this is so, then we say that the limit of f of x as x approaches A from the right is equal to L. So we have that in symbols. Now let's relate the left hand and the right hand limits. So suppose you have a function defined at an open interval containing A except possibly at A, and the limit of f of x is equal to L, where L is a real number. Okay, this only happens if the left-hand limit and the right-hand limits are both equal to L. Otherwise, we say that the limit of the function does not exist.